You can call it tough love. You can call it not beating around the bush. Call it whatever you want. Kyle Shanahan is meaning business right now. And I feel like I'm seeing, and we're all seeing Kyle Shanahan just get a little bit more direct about how certain players are performing, how situations are going to play out for this football team that is 4-2 and has a lot of uphill battles still yet to come. Hit subscribe if you're looking for daily 49ers content. We're going to be breaking all that down, everything I just said there, in just a moment. But first, before we do that, I want to know from your perspective, like, there's a lot going around right now about the 49ers trading Jauan Jennings. It, to me, as far as I can interpret, is pretty much just speculation. Pretty much just people saying, hey, in theory, this team needs a wide receiver and has a defensive end. Why don't you just do a little swap-a-roozy and you give Jauan Jennings and you get a defensive end? Personally, I don't think that's realistic. I'm curious what you guys think, though, and the way I'll phrase it is this. Would you trade Jauan Jennings right now? And if you would, what would you trade him for? The way I see it, you've got George Kittle coming back. He's in practice today. We'll be talking about that in the episode. You've got Kendrick Bourne playing really, really well outside of a drop here and a mistake move here and there. Like, you're seeing some stuff that's not quite right, but overall, he's playing pretty well. You'd be happy with his performance. I think you could be. I think you've got Demarcus Robinson, who's had a rough start, but is back from that suspension and will continue to get better. He will improve. We saw what he can do with the Rams. I genuinely am not worried about Demarcus Robinson. He's going to be just fine. If he can start to get in rhythm, and I don't know, maybe get in rhythm with whoever the stinging quarterback is on any given day, I think it's going to be just fine. I'm not worried about Demarcus Robinson. And Brandon Aiyuk is a few weeks away from coming back as well, theoretically at least. He has to pass all the tests and everything has to go well up to that point. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, though, about Jauan Jennings. I like Jauan. I don't see any reason to trade him now, apart from the fact that he's gone at the end of the year. He's not going to be a 49er. At least that's what most people believe to be the case. And if he's going to be gone, then maybe it makes sense to get something for him now if you can. I would understand that argument. That's about the only argument I like, because I really do like Jauan Jennings. He's playing through a lot of injuries right now. We got to give the guy a benefit of the doubt. He's going through a lot right now, and you know what? All wide receivers can be a little grumpy. Well, how about we'll use that term and be nice about it. All wide receivers can be a little bit frustrated at times when they're not seeing the ball. And for Jauan Jennings to have put in all that time and all that effort and to do the holdout and everything and all that, and then to be in this situation, or Holden, I guess, whatever you want to call it, to be in this situation where he goes in there and Kendrick Bourne shows up 5 minutes ago and is already, playing lights out for you and getting lots of targets and all that kind of stuff, I can understand why he would be frustrated with the situation. Now, should it have evolved into going after Kyle Shanahan while he's trying to call plays and stuff? No, of course not. That kind of stuff bubbles over. I don't think Kyle Shanahan's losing any sleep over that. I don't think Jauan Jennings is losing any sleep over that. If anything, he's losing sleep over the fact that he's having a hard time breathing through cracked ribs. That's my guess. But you let me know what you think in the comments. As always, I'm going to move on because I realize I've now been talking about that for a little while. So, Shanahan gets real. I'm serious, you guys. Like, I don't know if you listen to Shanahan press conferences like I do. Sometimes these things stick out. And for me, this stuck out. This felt like something a little bit different than what I've seen out of Kyle Shanahan or what I've heard out of Shanahan. So here are some quotes, some examples of how Shanahan got real today. Let's talk about first Sky Moore. This is probably the worst one of all of them. In terms of Sky Moore, who's made a couple mistakes now in returns, particularly when he's taken a punt return inside the 5-yard line. That's problematic. He was asked about it. Is there a coaching point on fielding punts with Sky Moore? He fielded a couple more inside the 5. Is that a yes or a no? And the way Shanahan responded, you have to trust me. You got to listen to the audio if you want, but he's like, that's a no. It's a big no. Like, he really emphasized that. He's very, very upset from what I can read about Sky Moore fielding those punts. So we're still working on that, he says. We keep going. Why was running back Isaac Guerrero taken off of kick return? Was that a ball security concern? I believe this particular question came from, let me think of it, Matt Barrows. he said a little bit of both. We just wanted to give Brian Robinson Jr. an opportunity. Nothing overtly bad for Aiyuk to lose it or anything, but nothing overly good to keep it. You know, I understand this might not seem like a real strong statement to you. I completely understand that. But think about it from this perspective. What did Kyle Shanahan have to say? What did he have to say in that situation? He did not have to go out of his way to clarify, but also he's not doing anything special. I'm not impressed by him. And, you know, the interesting thing for me in thinking about the ball security question, I thought that was a pretty direct question there. And he said a little bit of both. So we wanted to give someone else a shot, see how it went, and something we'll keep evaluating. Fascinating words from Kyle Shanahan. Isaac Guerrero, by the way, per SF Data Niners, fantastic channel on Twitter. You should give him a follow. Isaac Guerrero hasn't logged a single carry on target this season after 84 rushes for 50 yards per attempt last year. Brian Robinson with 27 carries so far has the 49ers' longest rush of the season with 19 yards. Here are the stats as they actually look. You've got Christian McCaffrey with 69.7 carry percentage. And then you've got little carries here and there for everybody else. But you do not see Isaac Guerrero on that list because he's not on there. Brian Robinson Jr., however, has 4 yards per carry, so his average yards per carry is higher than Christian McCaffrey, but not getting a ton of reps, something to think about. Just throwing things out there. I'm not telling you what you should believe about that. I'm just getting the data out there. With Sky Moore out, does Jordan Watkins do punt return today in practice? So we'll talk more about the injuries in a second, but Sky Moore was out today with an ankle injury. And he said, yeah, now that he's back, he'll get a shot at it. So we'll see how this week goes. We still know that Sky has got a chance to play, but that stuff we'll evaluate all week. I don't know, like, if I'm reading into it or anything. So you can tell me if you disagree with this. But when I listened to him live, the way that I took what Kyle Shanahan said was that he's perfectly fine if Jordan Watkins starts doing punt returns. Maybe it'd solve a problem for him. I don't know. The 49ers traded for Sky Moore, so I don't believe that they're just going to get rid of him or cut him or anything like that. But I do think it's interesting that he's eager to see Jordan Watkins out there. Junior Bergen, by the way, per Matt Barrows, was also out there returning punts. He's on the practice squad as of late. Will you have linebacker D. Winters continue to wear the green dot and control communication, or would Tatum take that? Tatum. Very firm, very direct, very straightforward, no explanation given. Tatum Bethune will be calling. I don't know. Again, you can decide if you want to read into this stuff or not. The way it feels to me and the way that he responds, it could be just straight up matter of fact, Tatum. But it read to me more like, yeah, no, D. Winters is not doing that. That's how it felt to me. I'm just being honest with you, okay? Would you say that Mac is more limited than Brock right now, or are they sort of the same? No, Brock's more limited than Mac. Straight up, which, by the way, I've got footage on Brock Purdy. You tell me if you think he's more limited than Mac. We'll be looking at that in a second, which is its own statement in and of itself. Quick pause for a message from our sponsors. One of the sponsors I'm so excited about on this channel. Genuinely, I'm stinking proud that this channel can be sponsored by Chomps. Chomps is a company that is fantastic, and their product is amazing. I absolutely love these things. If you've never had them before, I strongly suggest you give them a try. I had never had them before. My wife actually picked them up, brought them home, and I'd never heard of them before, gave them a taste, and I genuinely love them. And I don't just love the flavor. There's a lot more to love, like 0 grams of sugar, 10 grams of protein, 100 calories, grass-fed beef. And if you're like me, if you're trying to focus on nutrition, you're trying to pay attention to what you're putting in your body, like, this is fantastic. I love these things. They come in different flavors, by the way. I've got a couple different flavors here you can check out there. And there are lots of other flavors you can choose from as well. I strongly encourage you to go check them out. I've said this before, like, I was not a diehard beef sticks guy as a kid, and I am now because I love these. Chomps made me a believer. These are so delicious. If you click the link in my description, and use my promo code STSF. My friends over at Chomps want to give you 15% off your entire order, which I think is pretty awesome. Throw them in your gym bag, throw them in your car, throw them in your desk at work, whatever. They're fantastic, and they're there when you need it, and they're always satisfying, in my personal opinion. I think you should give them a try. All right, back to the video. Here's, the green screen's working great on the grass for Brock Purdy there. If you look at Brock Purdy on there as he's throwing the ball through the background there, apologies to that. But look at him. He looks pretty solid. Looks clean, zip on the ball. I felt like his first pass, if you watch that clip again, looks very good. You can see George Kittle on the right, also back at practice today. Really nice to see him. Both of them were technically limited. George Kittle looks limited in the way that he's warming up, in the way that he's jogging and stuff from the limited amount of time that reporters get to be out there. Whereas Brock Purdy, he's throwing with some zip. He doesn't look nearly as limited from the little clips that we get there. The one thing I will say about George Kittle and his limited nature, however, Matt Barrows said there was a lot of energy around George Kittle getting back on the field. So that's exciting. The team's definitely getting a boost from that. So I mentioned really the only ones you need to know about, Ricky Pearsall, he's still out. Sky Moore, he's out with an ankle. Don't have a lot of details on him yet. Vet days for Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams. Jordan Watkins was limited, but out there taking punt returns. Okay, that's interesting. Brock Purdy was limited. Mac Jones was limited. You got some limited guys out there. Dominic Pooney with his knee was limited. We've been talking about Dominic Pooney and what the heck's going on with Dominic Pooney, and one perspective has been that Dominic Pooney has just been carrying that injury from preseason, basically. And that might be the case as we see him limited at practice today. Kevin Givens is still not back to full practice, but it's exciting that he's getting back. Jauan Jennings, the way Kyle Shanahan said it, ankle, rib, shoulder. It's like, oh, so now that Jauan Jennings has let the cat out of the bag, now we're just going to be honest about his injury. We're just going to say it all out there. It's all out there. He said it, so now we're going to say it all. Ankles, ribs, shoulders. Yeah, he's got all sorts of stuff going on. Renardo Green with his neck is limited, similar, I think, to the injury from before. CJ West limited with his thumb. George Kittle is back. We talked about that. Clea Davis is still limited as well. So there you have it. Those are the injury updates. Now, reinforcements I talked about. Guys like George Kittle coming back. Guys like, Nick Martin. Nick Martin's another guy that was asked about today. I'm so glad. We've been wondering what's going on with Nick Martin lately. Here is what Kyle Shanahan had to say about George and the boost that he gets from George Kittle. Just having another good blocker always helps. I thought the other tight ends have blocked well enough. Just having him back in the pass game, I think, is huge. Just having an explosive athlete out there who can run away from people. But both, just having him on the field and on every offensive play helps. What about as a leader? George, the impact on the team with George as a leader. I think George always can. George is one of our leaders here. All the guys who've been around for a while, George has been here since the beginning and also is one of our better players. So anytime you have guys like that, I do think they'll always have a big impact. What about Nick Martin? Is this an opportunity for Nick Martin now that you've got Fred Warner down? Tatum Bethune steps in, of course. Curtis Robinson's still on the practice squad, from what we can tell. But Nick Martin has been a healthy scratch for a while. So here you go. Yeah, definitely a huge opportunity for Nick to get on the field. Just losing a linebacker should give him his opportunity. So that's it. This is the opportunity Nick Martin's going to get. I think he's been good. He works his butt off every day, still working to find a way to get up. This is his opportunity to get up. We'll see how the week practice goes, and then we'll decide for Sunday. Most likely, we'll decide on Saturday. That's Nick Martin. I'm excited about that reinforcement as well. Looked good in preseason. He looked really good in preseason. So I'm excited that Nick Martin is a consideration. And by the way, for those of you that are watching live right now, what'd you do? I've been trying some different graphics and stuff, and it definitely looks like when I put the graphics on the screen, it looks like I'm my head's up, trying to keep my head above water here. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just gonna deal with it today. I'm not gonna worry about it. But whatever. When you watch back the film, what was your impression of the performance that Tatum Bethune had? I thought Tatum did a really good job. He had a couple mistakes which were understandable. Kind of what I think I was always saying on Monday. But there was a lot of clips that I was telling everybody when I get on the plane, I start watching the tape, and it starts to feel a little depressing for me. Just how the game went, thinking about it without Fred. And then I stopped and rewatched it a different way from a different light. And it was very inspiring is the word he used to describe how Tatum played. A bunch of our young guys, there are some good things on that tape. Got to clean up some mistakes that we made. but I liked how the film looked and how the guys played. That is pretty exciting if you ask me. I suppose you're asking me here. That's pretty exciting to me, how he talked about Tatum Bethune there. But we'll keep going. There's some other bright spots that we got from that Tampa Bay game there. This is ridiculous. I got to move these graphics. This is embarrassing. I'm going to move it. Give me 1 sec. Boom, boom. All right, there you go. That's significantly better. It's a little harder for me to read, but worth it because I'm still figuring it out. Anyway, what's been your assessment of Kendrick Bourne? He has obviously put up some big numbers, but then there's been some pre-snap stuff, some blocking questions. Overall, how do you assess Kendrick Bourne's play? Kyle Shanahan says, yeah, definitely. I mean, for someone just to hop in here week 2 and get thrown into a starting role by week 4, he's been very appreciative that we've been able to have I've been very appreciative that we've been able to have Bourne here. He's helped us out a ton, but by no means has it been perfect like anybody, but he's getting better each week, catching up on the offense and stuff like that. I feel that we've been fortunate to have him, though. And you know what? Hearing this, it made me feel a little bit better about Kendrick Bourne's responsible interception in the game. Because it is a fair point to say Kendrick Bourne, despite the fact that he knew this offense once upon a time, the offense has changed a lot. The verbiage has changed a lot. And he comes back in and he's trying to figure things out. He's trying to get used to 2 different quarterbacks in the time that he's been there. Mostly Mac Jones, though, which he already knows, but in a different scheme. So then you're asking a guy who has not been around the team for very long, didn't have training camp, didn't have OTAs, didn't have any of that stuff. And yeah, he's gonna take some of those. They're not choice routes. I forget what Kyle Shanahan called them, but he's gonna take some of those where you're supposed to read the corner and make the decision, and he's gonna mess them up. These guys are gonna do that. Especially the guys who don't are your veterans, and those are your guys that are all injured. So yeah, Kendrick Bourne has had to step in and play a role, and you got to give him some credit for it. There were some bright spots against Tampa Bay, so I feel good about that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, as always, as we are 4 days away from the Atlanta Falcons coming to town. They're going to have one less rest day, but they're going to be flying high after that big win against the Buffalo Bills. So you better believe the 49ers are going to need to be on their A game. Whatever their A game looks like with all these guys injured, they're going to have to be on their A game. Whatever the A game on this defense looks like, without Fred Warner, without Nick Bosa, they're going to have to figure it out. Tatum Bethune's going to have a job to do, especially in stopping the run. And he's a powerful guy. He's a powerful linebacker. But I'm a little worried. With how they're going to be attacking the middle of the field. So I'm hoping he's going to be ready for his game. It is clear to me that Kyle Shanahan is 100% not interested in having anybody but Tatum Bethune at the Mike position this game, and not having interested in having anybody but the Mike actually calling the plays, calling out, calling everything out just like a center does, just like a quarterback does. Just you get what I'm saying. So let me know what you think in the comments. As always, appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys have a super fantastic rest of your evening.